To me at least, this project represents that self-satirizing internet age depression, but filtered through noise and samples. Sure, it's a tough listen for many reasons, but the catharsis I get from like Grant or Fear of God is basically unmatched. Just outright, this is a remarkably catchy record that's fortunately been intercut with bursts of fuzzy intensity. It's one that I can't help but come back to, whether because the vocalists, the melodies, or the crisp production. All of it is really captivating. There's really not much for me to say about this one, besides it being a fine addition of depressive shoegaze to add to the rotation. Like, sure, there's tasteful ambient bits and some metal stylings, but I won't sweat the details. The atmosphere speaks for itself. Shout out to Podel for dropping an unexpectedly solid debut. His ability to translate memories into these wistful soundscapes is really promising. Also, the accompanying artwork is stunning and captures these scenes beautifully. And yeah, I do mean that Podel. For their first release of the year, sonhos tries their hand at noise gaze, and all I can say is wow. These tracks are like the most exhilarating heights of their career, and if not, have already found their spot among my favorite sounding projects of all time. In simplest terms, this one just rocks. But to be more descriptive, I'd say it's sleek, groovy, and chock full of twists and turns to keep you well on your toes. Plus, if you're like me, you'll stick around purely for that grumbling bass. As a Panda Rosa release, naturally, it's ethereal and spacious, and is one that, yes, likes to take its time. Although something about this one's moody, futuristic aesthetic makes it one of my favorites. While I'm unfamiliar with any of its predecessors, this one jumped out at me for how mystical, sinister, and full of surprises it is. My favorite surprise, of course, being its production. Every track has so much detail that you just know its creation was meticulous.
Hey yo, sorry if I call a lot. I hope you taking this to the heart because it's often not.
Another lineage I'm unfamiliar with, at least musically, is this. Though considering the cozy lo-fi beats, bars of vulnerable lyrics, and plethora of anime aesthetics, it's pretty easy to see how I got invested in it. After failing to fully get Drain Gang with Ice Dancer and E, I was surprised by how much I enjoy this. I know it's because I'm drawn to White Armor's production here, but it'd be a disservice to say that both Blade and Eco don't carry their parts, lyrically and vocally. People will use phrases like, "this had me rolling," to hype up something they found, but I'm completely serious when I say that I rolled onto my keyboard the first time I heard this. Just take for example the track Fucked Up in the Crib Drinking Dr. Bob, which is like an auditorial sucker punch, and also only one of its many ridiculous tracks. I'm not sure how to describe this, but I guess to start, it's got a palpable loneliness. And I don't know if that's from the poetry it draws from, its hollow piano keys, or how the ghost of every note played seems to haunt the entire track. But regardless, I can feel it with every listen. With every track being so unique, it's little surprised to see the sheer roster of producers behind it. And together with these talents, notably Hakushi Hasegawa and Narasaki, Mito's colorful vocals turn this into a solid run of pure artsy bliss. Considering my channel name and the fact that I know the series, this was an obvious listen. What was less obvious though was how it's spilling with raw aggression and is just an unrelenting banger of an album.